Hello, everyone. Today we're excited to have Nick with us, our principal registered migration agent since 2008. Nick has extensive experience helping families bring their parents to Australia on permanent resident visas. Nick, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Today, I'll be discussing the different visa options available for parents, including the non-contributory parent, temporary contributory parent, and the aged parent contributory visa, and how these options can help families reunite in Australia.
Great. With so many visa options for parents, such as the aged parent contributory visa, temporary sponsored parent visa, contributory parent visa, temporary contributory parent visa, and the non contributory parent visa, could you help us understand the differences and which might be the best choice?
Absolutely. Let's start with the aged parent contributory visa, which is one of the best options for parents who are over the pension eligibility age in Australia, currently 67 years old. Keep in mind, there may be different retirement ages for men and women, so it's always a good idea to check with the Australian Tax Office, ATO, for the latest details. This visa allows parents to live in Australia on a bridging visa while their permanent visa is being processed, which can take several years. During this time, they have access to Medicare, multiple travel facilities, they can start or purchase a business and manage it, and can even apply for work rights if they face financial difficulties. Once the visa is granted, parents receive permanent residency, which comes with full benefits, including the ability to work and the option to apply for citizenship.
That sounds ideal for families who want their parents to stay long term. What are the eligibility requirements for the aged parent contributory visa?
To be eligible, parents must meet the age requirement and pass the balance of family test, meaning at least half of their children must be Australian citizens or permanent residents, or more of their children must live in Australia than in any other country. Also, parents must be in Australia on a substantive visa when they apply and when the visa is granted.
What are the processing times and costs for this visa?
The aged parent contributory visa has a processing time of around 5 to 6 years. The cost, including legal fees, is approximately $90,000 for a couple, but only a small portion is paid up front, with the balance due when the visa is ready to be granted. During the waiting period, parents can remain in Australia on a bridging visa, enjoy Medicare benefits, travel outside Australia, manage a business, and even get employed.
That's quite a financial commitment. Are there cheaper options for parents?
Yes, there's a cheaper option, the non-contributory parent visa. However, the waiting queue for this visa is extremely long, around 35 years at the time of this interview. Most parents in their 50s, 60s, or 70s won't live long enough to get this visa due to the high demand and limited spots available each year.
35 years is a really long time. How does the contributory parent visa compare to the aged parent contributory visa?
The contributory parent visa is very similar to the aged parent contributory visa, but the main difference is that it's an offshore visa. Like the aged visa, it offers permanent residency, access to Medicare once granted, and the ability to apply for citizenship. However, unlike the aged parent contributory visa, there's no bridging visa, so parents can't remain in Australia while waiting for the visa to be processed. The costs and processing times are almost identical, about 5-6 years.
So, families have the option of applying for a permanent visa while their parents are either in Australia or overseas. What about the waiting period? Can you explain the temporary sponsored parent visa?
The temporary sponsored parent visa is a temporary option that allows parents to stay in Australia for up to 3 or 5 years, with the option to renew it up to a maximum of 10 years. It's a great choice for families waiting for their permanent residency visa to be processed. However, this visa doesn't provide Medicare access or a pathway to permanent residency. It's ideal for families who need flexibility but aren't ready for the financial commitment of a permanent visa.
We've talked about this visa in a previous podcast, but could you briefly explain the requirements?
Sure. The temporary sponsored parent visa requires sponsorship from an Australian citizen or permanent resident, and the sponsor must meet certain income criteria. Unlike other visas, parents don't need to pass the balance of family test, making it slightly easier to obtain.
How does the temporary sponsored parent visa differ from the regular visitor visa that allows parents to stay for 3 or 5 years?
The temporary sponsored parent visa allows for longer continuous stays in Australia without needing to leave the country and reapply each year, which is often required with the visitor visa. Many families choose the temporary sponsored parent visa for its flexibility and longer stay periods.
Now let's talk about the temporary contributory parent visa. How does this visa compare to the contributory parent visa?
The temporary contributory parent visa used to be a great option because it allowed parents to gain temporary residency before applying for permanent residency under the contributory parent visa. In the past, this visa had faster processing times. However, the processing times for both visas are now almost identical, so applying for the temporary contributory parent visa doesn't make sense anymore. You're better off applying directly for the contributory parent visa, as it saves time and money.
So the temporary contributory parent visa no longer offers any real advantage?
Exactly. The processing times for the temporary contributory parent visa and the contributory parent visa are now the same, so families are better off applying directly for the contributory parent visa. It's more cost effective and leads directly to permanent residency without extra steps.
With so many options, how do families choose the best visa for their parents?
It all depends on your family's needs and your parents' situation. If your parents are over pensionable age and meet the balance of family test, the aged parent contributory visa is an excellent choice, especially because they can stay in Australia while the visa is being processed. However, visitor visas sometimes come with restrictions preventing them from switching to the aged parent contributory visa. That's where planning comes in. At our office, we've helped clients secure visitor visas without those restrictions, allowing them to smoothly switch to the aged parent contributory visa. If they don't qualify for an onshore visa, the offshore contributory parent visa is the best option for permanent residency. For families needing a temporary solution, the temporary sponsored parent visa is ideal for long-term stays, though it doesn't provide Medicare access or permanent residency.
This has been really insightful, Nick. It sounds like careful planning is essential when navigating these visa options. What advice do you have for families?
My advice is to plan early and think about both short and long-term goals for your parents. If permanent residency is the ultimate goal, the aged parent contributory visa or the contributory parent visa are your best options. Keep in mind, there are rumors that the cost of contributory visas may increase to $300,000, as the current costs don't fully cover the expenses parents incur in Australia. If that happens, you could wake up one day and find the price has tripled, so apply as soon as possible. One thing you need to be careful is that the visas of this type have a one fail all fail policy. That means if a person in one application, example a father, mother and a minor child, if one person in one application fails for any reason, the entire application will be refused. Also, if you receive a visa refusal, it can add stress, significant costs, and delays, often up to an additional 2 to 3 years, due to appeals. It's important to work with an experienced migration agent or a migration lawyer to avoid these situations. We handle everything from visa assessments to appeals at the Administrative Appeals Tribunal.
That's great advice. For families interested in applying for these visas, how can they get in touch with you?
Families can contact us directly, preferably on WhatsApp for a consultation. We're here to guide you from the initial assessment to managing the entire visa process. Our goal is to make this journey as smooth as possible for your family.
Thanks so much, Nick. If you're considering bringing your parents to Australia, whether temporarily or permanently, contact us today for personalised advice. You can reach us via mobile or WhatsApp at +61 4 2 70 92262 or email us at info@nicksultani.com. We specialise in parent visas, including the Aged Parent Contributory Visa, the Temporary Sponsored Parent Visa, and the Contributory Parent Visa, and will guide you through the process to find the best solution for your family. Be sure to follow our Instagram and Facebook pages, where we regularly post visa grants and processing times. We look forward to seeing you in our office.